there, ghosts and ghouls, Warlock Boo here. And today, I'm gonna read something a little different. You see, my assistant Straightjacket has been nagging me to read something a little more classical, highbrow. So I finally broke down and agreed. And today, I'm gonna be reading The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. Enjoy. Once upon a midnight dreary, why I ponder weak and weary over many acquainting queries, volume of forgotten lore. Why I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping on my chamber door. 'Tis some visitor, I muttered, tapping at my chamber door, only this and nothing more. Ah, discreetly I remember, it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my books circus of sorrows for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terror never felt before. So that now to still the beating of my heart I stood repeating, 'tis some visitor entering at my chamber door. Some late visitor entering at my chamber door. This is it and nothing more. Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. Sir, and I, or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore, but the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarcely was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door, darkness there and nothing more. Deep into the darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreamings no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence wasn't broken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only words there spoken was the whisper word, Lenore. This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the words, Lenore. Merely this and nothing more. Back into the chambers turning, all my souls within me burning. Soon again I heard the tapping, somewhat louder than before. Surely, I said, surely this is something at my window lattice. Let's see then what there is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be stilled a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the window and nothing more. Open here I flung the shutter, when with a minion flirt or flutter, in the stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obedient made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady, perched above my chamber door, perched upon the bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door, perched and sat and nothing more. Then this ebony bird beguiled my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern norm of the continuance in its war. Though the crest be nor shaven, thou, I said, art sure no craven, ghastly grim and ancient ravering, wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the nightly palpant shore. Quoth the raven, Nevermore. Much I marveled, ungainly fowl, to hear discourse so plainly. Thought, its answer little meaning, little relevance bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculpture bust above his chamber door, with such a name as Nevermore. But the raven sitting lonely on the placid bust spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that word he did outpour. Nothing farther than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than mutter, other friends have flown before, on the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown him before. Then the bird said, Nevermore. Startled at the stillness broken by the reaply so abruptly spoken, doubtless, said I, what it utters. Is it only stock or store, cut from some unhappy master, whom unmercifully disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his song one burden bore, till the disgrace of hope that melancholy burden bore of nevermore? But the raven still beguiling all my fancy into smiling straight. I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of the bird and buzzed at the door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant its croaking nevermore. This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllables expressing to the fowls whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my heart at ease reclining on the cushioned velvet lining that the lamplight glowed o'er, but whose velvet violet lining with the lamplight gloating o'er she shall press, nevermore. Then methoding the air grew denser, performed from the unseen censer, swung by Shepherd's whose foot falls, tinkling on the turf floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath lent thee, by these angels he hath sent thee, reprise, and Nephinite, from the memories of Lenore, quoth the kind Nephinite, and forget this lost Lenore, quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still is bird or devil, whether tempted, sent, or whether temptress tossed thee here ashore, desolate yet all undaunted, on the desert land enchanted, on the home by horror haunted. Tell me truly, I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore, quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still a bird or devil, by the heaven that bends above, by the gods we do adore, tell this soul, with sorrow laden, if within the distant Eden I shall clasp a saintly maiden, whom the angels name Lenore, clasp a rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels name Lenore, quoth the raven, nevermore. Be that word, our sign, the partial bird, freeing thy sheep unsetting, get thee back into the tempest of the night plutumnus shore, leave me no black plumes on the token of the lie thy soul hath spoken, leave my loneliness unbroken, quit thy bust above my door, take these beaks from out of my heart, and take from the form from off my door, quoth the raven, nevermore. And the raven never filting, still it's sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door. His eyes have all the seeming of demons, this is dreaming, and the lamplight o'erhearing him sternly throws his shadow on the floor, and my soul from that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore. Hey there, my ghoulies. What did you think of that? Nice bit of classic literature. I like that one. It's very hard to read. I'm kind of sorry about that. But it was one of Edgar Allan's most famous, next to The Pendulum, The Telltale Heart, a lot. If I can, I'll have something pop up with a link to a book with all his work in it, or at least a lot of his work. He did a lot of work. But I hope you enjoyed this story. I kind of enjoyed reading it. It was a nice difference for me. Maybe I'll do some more if I can. But this is Warlock Boo, and I want to know, what did you think of it? Is there any stories or old poems or old stories at all you want me to read? Send me a thing and maybe I'll try. But this is Warlock Boo. I hope to be spooking y'all later. Bye.
I found you!
No! No!